Okay, so in this video we're going to be looking at variables. So what are variables? So effectively variables are a box or a section of RAM that you corner off and you assign a value. So we can write code to store information inside this box, and then we can write code again to retrieve it and use it whenever we need to. So PHP variables are quite different. You have to start with a $, and usually you follow that $sign with a letter or an underscore. After your $, any of these letters can occur, but you cannot start with a number. Okay, you can only start with a letter or an underscore. So variables can contain any number of letters, numbers or underscores, but they must begin with a letter or an underscore. You cannot start with a number. So for example, this one is invalid because the underscore is followed by a number. This one is fine, this one's fine, this one's fine, this one's fine. This one is a tricky one because you wouldn't necessarily spot something wrong with it, but it's the character here. You can't have a special character within the variable name. Note that some variable names such as $this is a special character and you cannot assign any information to it. And it is also recommended that you avoid using variables that begin with an underscore. Now it is valid and you can use it, however, when we progress through this unit you'll be using a lot of this, which is getting a piece of information to post to a server. So you'll be using a lot of these, and there is a few others as well that will have an underscore, so you don't want to be messing up with these or getting confused. So just a recommendation as well for Camelcase. Camelcase is where when you create any variable, you use compound of words, so first name for example, and you also take the first letter of the first word is in lowercase and the first letter of the second word is in uppercase. So it looks like a camel's back, so it looks like the hump on a camel. Okay, it is recommended you do that. It is industry standard to do this now, so it's something you should be doing anyway. So what we're going to be looking at now is I'm going to be doing a little bit of this. So we're going to go through variables and setting them. So I've got my preliminaries, I've got my PHP, I've opened it up, told it what language I'm going to use. I'm just going to remove this because we don't need this at the moment. And I'm going to do some variables. So my first variable I'm going to use is $A, and I'm going to assign it the value of 2. Again, you do have to put your semicolon after it. Okay, I'm going to create another variable. This time I'm going to create the variable B, and I'm going to give this a value of 3, like that. So I've assigned variables. Now all of these are integers, so they are whole numbers. Okay, so let's try with a string. So this time I'm going to put $name. Well, I could change that actually and use Camelcase, so I'm going to change that and use first name, like that. Okay, and I'm going to put that to equal. Now again we need to use speech marks. My keyboard is so messed up. There we go. Let's call him Peter. And again you do need your semicolon afterwards. It just closes it and tells the software that you finished programming on that line. So the next thing we're going to have a look at is we're going to have a look at a decimal. So I'm going to put $number like that, and I'm going to put equals. Now for this decimal I'm going to give it the value of 12.345 like that. I'm going to put my, really need to turn that down, thingy after it, my semicolon, and we're going to look at date. Now date, for the moment we're going to do it as a string, just because in later videos, just because PHP has got a massive array of things to do with date and we haven't looked into it yet. So 2012, I don't know, 19, we'll go with that. Okay, so now we're going to move on to variable types. I have been mentioning a way as we go through. So this is how you set a variable. So let's look at different variable types. So let's look at Boolean. So Boolean is true or false. You know this from your previous programming experience. So what it means is, let's go and let's reuse A. So $A equals 1. So that is obviously true. And $B equals 0. That is false. I can also do it a second way. So because we're Boolean, it's either true or false, one or the other. So 1 is on, 0 is off, I can also do it this way. So A equals true, as long as I've got my capital, and B equals false. And that will work the exact same way. I really do like the spaces in between. You don't have to have them, but I just like them there. Okay, so that's Boolean, true or false. Int is whole numbers, so up here, these are whole numbers, they are integers. Okay. Floating points. Now floating points, they can also be known as several different things. You can have doubles or you can have real numbers. So the technical term for them is floating points, and they just mean they are a decimal number, just like this one here. And the last one is string. So this is a string, and this is a string. Okay. So that is everything we're going to cover in variables. So hopefully this helped, and you are now able to set your own variables using PHP. Thank you for watching, and come back later.